Ambivalacious types and champagne sippers, switch off now. Alex Belfield's voice of reason.
Howdy, Chunky. It's the Monday, live across the world, and so many things happening today, most of which we can't talk about here. Last week, we saw Russell Brand dragged into the "you are a Mad Hatter" anti-vax conspiracy theorist, when in fact all he's trying to do is talk and ask questions. Many of the questions we've asked over recent years are now being born to have been worth asking. Like, for example, how many people died with or of is now a very interesting question that is getting more and more curious answers. As we wonder about our freedoms, we certainly don't have free speech anymore. We find out that they're now getting the go-ahead for ID cards that will be digital. We know they're trying to get through at the WEF the blood COVID passports, which is very curious that they now want basically our DNA. Not content with eyes, not content with pictures or indeed our name and address, they now want global DNA, which is another infringement of our freedoms. It seems as if they're doubling down at a time they're on the back foot. Not gone very well, has it? During a month where we've seen the mask be ridiculed as 90% inefficient in most cases. I will be wearing my face covering, by the way, coming up this Friday in Glasgow. I've got mine ready. It's a Jeanette McCranky face covering. Doesn't say you have to wear a mask, just a face covering. Those, of course, who are exempt will not be asked, and you don't have to wear a mask. That is the law. So if you're exempt, don't you worry about that. See you, Glasgow, on Friday at 7:30. We can't wait. I think I've got a few things to talk about during a week when it's been found to be true that Scotland now has more racism towards English than there is Islamophobia, which just shows the hate that racists against the English like Jeanette McCranky have whipped up in an attempt to boost her own career. Not a very edifying thing to do, is it? Our big exclusive this morning is that they're paying £20,000 a month to hotels across this country to house the Ukrainians. As you know, I've suggested the best way to do it is get rid of the dinghy divers that have come here, some 30,000 staying in hotels. 200 came on Wednesday alone last week. As the sun shines, the dinghy divers arrive. They cost £5 million a day in hotels. I say we send them all back to Calais and we let the Ukrainians stay here. But just know that this government's offered you £350 a month to let people into your home that you might not like. Who wants to see dad farting whilst little Chantel comes down the stairs from Ukraine? I mean, this is inappropriate. It's going to end in tears. I'm not even sure it's safe, to be honest, on either side. I think there are risks involved. Put them in hotels, get rid of the dinghy divers. But now they offered them £5,000 a month for board in hotels. They've negotiated £20,000. We will discuss that in full at alexbelfield.com. How do you feel about that, knowing you were offered 350 and yet hotels get 20,000? It's almost as if this country is so corrupt now only the rich can profit. On today's Secret VOR Club, we talk about the police who now, are getting even more insane by challenging the decision of a High Court judge and trying to overturn the notion that they had the right to stop people's freedoms after the murder of Sarah Everard. Do you remember what happened? A serving officer off duty took a woman in a car with bullshit COVID laws that weren't even law, and then did the unthinkable as a serving officer. That man, Wayne Couzens, has been charged, by the way, with more crimes prior to that incident. As we know, the police are utterly corrupt and will cover up for anyone, it seems, whether they are north, south, east or west across this country. I'm not saying they're all thick and corrupt. I'm just saying I haven't met any that aren't. Halitosis that could strip the paint off an ironing board. Hashtag if you know what I'm saying. Also on the show today, we talk about the notion that people are living on £10 a week for food. We discussed it in the phone-in last night. How is it possible when a loaf of bread is £1.70 and a bottle of milk 4-pinter is £1.50, you could possibly live on £10 a week? At the same time, we find out there are dodgy deals with politicians like Rees-Mogg, who is a millionaire, who has his little children going to private school, and of course Rishi Washi with his room for a pony. We discuss all of this today and much more too. It's a shame we can't have an honest discussion here, but that's the way it goes. If you want to see me live and completely unedited, you can come to Rugeley. We're going to be there next month. About 20 tickets left. You can go to alexbelfield.com and click on tickets, and we'll be down in Bournemouth at the Wimborne Tivoli Theatre. That's coming in May too. But next stop is Glasgow on Friday. It's almost a sellout. We can't believe it. Incredible. Thank you to all my Scottish people who finally can see the wood for the trees and want a bit of common sense. Right, we shall be back tomorrow with more, and we'll keep you up to date with what's happening in this strangest of times. And yes, we are bored with the Russian situation, and we're not talking about it because you can talk about it till the cows come home. You just end up with a house full of cows. We find out this afternoon that there has been espionage going on from the Russians trying to ring Prickstick Patel. Oh, maybe they're ringing to advise her. That maybe allowing more dinghy divers in, there are 2,700, is maybe not the smartest move. By building a big wall, maybe at Dover, something like that. Tomorrow at The Voice of Reason, we talk about the GoPro-wearing pricks who think they can go around filming the general public. We let them know in no uncertain terms, on behalf of the police who are now fining them £1,000, that you're a sad loser who need to get a life and get out of ours. Why don't you go and get some hobby? Why don't you try porn? Why don't you try something that gives you a life instead of going around trying to irritate and provoke members of the general public who one day will wallop you in the gob, and deservedly so. We'll also be talking about the woke police tomorrow at Secret VOR Club, and why turning on the flashing blue lights for the millennials and the new recruits makes them dizzy, and they have to bring mummy and daddy to work because they get too scared of criminals. It's almost as if we're living in a fucking infantilized, retarded world, isn't it? More tomorrow at the Secret VOR Club from 6 a.m. Can't talk about it here, might offend a lefty.
Suspended by YouTube, strip search for being a bomber to a witch hunt by the beef and cancelled by Ben O'Leary at the Dopey Times. We don't get too tiny shites. Let's go rogue and ad-free at alexbelfield.com. The Secret VOR Club. Sign up now and get shushy shush shush. Don't tell the lefties or the woke tart shushy.
Did you hear that? That was the voice of fucking reason, wasn't it?